Now, on to the heart of the comment. I love how the Liberals, Madam Speaker, just love to tell the world that it's the right who has conspiracy theorists. They're not even doing it with wink, wink, nudge, nudge anymore. They're outright coming out and saying it. Now, what they forget is that the Leader of the Opposition was part of cabinet and he would have had a security clearance. He's actually said it very, very clearly that he will not be muzzled, and I don't blame him. And if they're so concerned about whatever it might be with their wink, wink, nudge, nudge conspiracy theories that they're trying to perpetuate, they'd like to tell you it's only the far right that does it, but now it's coming from the left. Perhaps we might even say the far left, given the member from Winnipeg. So they have these conspiracy theories that they perpetuate here in the House. And at the end of the day, what do we need? We just need the names revealed. Release the names. That's it. The member from Winnipeg is laughing at the fact that I said release the names. He is laughing. I am being heckled right now by Liberals when I am saying release the names. You cannot make this up. There are people that are in this very House that are undermining democracy. I am saying this, and the Liberals are laughing when I say release the names. This is how seriously they take foreign interference, Madam Speaker. This is how seriously they take it. You're having to tell them to be quiet as we talk about foreign interference. Our leader has said when he becomes Prime Minister, he will release the names. This Prime Minister refuses to release the names. What is he hiding? What is the Prime Minister hiding? Why are those two members over there running defense for the Prime Minister and laughing when we talk about foreign interference and we say release the names? Perhaps there's something to hide over there. Perhaps there's something that the Liberals...
Order. I just want to remind members again that while someone else has the floor, to please give it the respect that it deserves. I think that the House can function better if everybody abides on, and this is everybody that I'm speaking to here as a whole. If members were to abide by the rules of the House, I think we would be able to work a lot smoothly and things could flow better and more people would be able to have their voices heard. So the honourable member for Kamloops Thompson Caribou can continue with the speech.
Great. Thank you, Madam Speaker. And just to be clear, it's the member from Winnipeg and the member from Brampton West who were laughing and heckling as I was talking about releasing the names. Pretty simple. Our leader has said he will release the names. There are people that are potentially compromised in this place. There are people...
The honourable member for Winnipeg, for the honourable parliamentary secretary, the government House leader.
Madam Speaker, the leader can get the names. All he has to do is get the security clearance. Then he can release the names.
On a point of order, it's a point of debate. So the honourable member for Kamloops Thompson Caribou.
I'm happy to respond to that. It's not the Leader of the Opposition who should get the names, it's Canadians who should get the names. And here we have Liberals stymieing time after time after time saying, oh, if only this was the case, if only that was the case. We have people, parliamentarians that could be compromised, parliamentarians who may have broken the highest law in the land here, one of the most serious laws we have on the books. And we've said, release the names. Time after time after time, release the names, release the names, release the names. We have people here who may be compromised, and the Liberals think it's funny. The Liberals think we should be heckling over it. Shame on them. Release the names. There are people who fought for our freedom, Madam Speaker. This is the month where we remember. And they fought so we could be free, so that we could speak our minds in this place. And there are people that want to undermine it, and the Liberals think it's funny. Release the names. Hear, hear. The member from Winnipeg just said, I'd say something, but I can't. I don't think I've ever seen him at a loss for words, Madam Speaker.
This is becoming a point. This is becoming where individuals are trying to debate each other when they're not supposed to be at this point. There's no questions and comments at this point. I again order. Again, I would just ask members to please be respectful of each other and to please wait till the appropriate time to make comments, or I would ask members to maybe write their thoughts down in case they're afraid that they're going to forget them. The honourable member for Kamloops Thompson Caribou, I would just ask him to continue on with his speech.
Madam Speaker, it is always a pleasure to rise in this place, and sometimes we talk about really happy things, and sometimes we talk about sad things, and sometimes we talk about things that are important that are both happy or sad. This is one of the times we're talking about something that's important, very sad. I would go so far as to say I'm quite despondent about where we sit here as a parliament, essentially at an impasse. And that impasse falls directly at the feet of this Liberal government. There is an order, Madam Speaker, from the chair that you occupy right now, to say, turn over the documents. Only the Liberals could be so brash as to try to reframe the conversation. Now, I talked about conspiracy theories from the left. This isn't a conspiracy theory here that we have to talk about when we say, what is in those documents that 36 days now? How many days have gone by? A number of days that have gone by here where we have been demanding the documents. What could possibly be in those documents that is so damning that the Liberals don't want to do? Oh, we have a member saying that my boss's name is in those documents. I'm pretty sure that the Leader of the Opposition's name isn't in those documents. But I'll tell you what, Madam Speaker, through you, let's table the documents so we can actually see whose names are in it. Because you know whose names are probably in it? Liberal insiders. You know why? Because this is a corrupt government. This is a corrupt government that loves to line its own pockets. And we know that. 186 conflicts of interest while these Liberals sat on their hands. $400 million, and they attempt to justify it. They attempt to sit here and say, no big deal. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge, just do this. Let's talk about some other conspiracy theory of the left. Madam Speaker, it is absolutely deplorable that we have to sit here demanding that these documents be put forward. So let's just go back in our history, if we will. 2018, former Liberal Industry Minister expressed concerns regarding the Harper-era chair, given public criticism. So 2 alternate chairs were then put forward. Lo and behold, what happens? Liberals love to benefit Liberals. It's just the way of life. Just as water is wet, Liberals love to line Liberal pockets. So a Liberal-friendly chair takes the chair of SDTC, also known as the Green Slush Fund, and we have 186 conflicts of interest. We have what I believe to be clear criminality that is at the core, where people were voting on giving one another money. And this was for money for green projects, something that should be ostensibly laudable. So, yeah, let's make our economy greener. But the whole point of SDTC, in their eyes, in the eyes of Liberal insiders, in the eyes of this Liberal government, was not to make our economy greener. It was to line Liberal pockets. And that is absolutely deplorable. And then making matters worse, Madam Speaker, is that this government refuses to hand over the unredacted documents. So Liberals like to line their own pockets. They like to get rich and get richer. And then when they're caught, they refuse to hand over the documents. Madam Speaker, I see I only have 20 seconds left by my count. No, do I have longer?
Has 10 and a half minutes, and if he ends before, then his time won't carry on. The honourable member for Kamloops Thompson Caribou.
Okay, well, this is great. Let's yeah. All right, Madam Speaker, I will keep going then. So let's start. I thought I only had a little bit of time, but let's keep going here then. The Auditor General of Canada has found that SDTC, also known as the Green Slush Fund, was essentially for Liberal insiders. Oh, I was just getting going, Madam Speaker.
You have a point of order. The Honourable Government House Leader.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move, seconded by the Minister of International Development, that the debate be now adjourned.
Mrs. Gould, seconded by Mr. Hussain, move that the debate be now adjourned. Pursuant to order made on Wednesday, February 28, 2024, the motion is deemed adopted. The Honourable Member for Kamloops Thompson Caribou will have 9 minutes and 40 seconds the next time this matter is before the House.
Member for Kamloops Thompson Caribou had 9 minutes and 40 seconds left in his time. The Honourable Member for Kamloops Thompson Caribou.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I hear the Winnipeg North talking about the security clearance, which would imply that only one person should know the names, Mr. Speaker. We as Conservatives believe every Canadian should know the names, just like every Liberal should be entitled to speak out. You know, just last week, Mr. Speaker, well, the member from Winnipeg North sure is excited. He must not like what we have to say, because just yesterday, actually, sorry, it was just last week, I believe it is, when the Leader of His Majesty's Loyal Opposition left, we gave him rousing applause because he did a great job. And the Prime Minister from his seat made a seal motion, as though implying we are all seals, and he talks about Conservatives being muzzled. And then we find out the member from Hamilton East, Stony Creek, is told there will be consequences if he doesn't fall in line. What did we hear all day yesterday during question period, Mr. Speaker? Why are those Conservatives being muzzled? I'll tell you this, Mr. Speaker. We actually take pride in not being muzzled on this side of the House. We take pride in being able to ask questions. The member for Winnipeg North asks just about every single question when there are people behind him that are more than capable on this side of the House. We believe that people should be unmuzzled. We are free to speak in our caucus. We are free to speak our mind, and that is not something that the Liberals can claim. So when they say, Mr. Speaker, that we are muzzled, and then that very day, the member from Hamilton East, Stony Creek, says, I can't vote as I wish because I can't serve my constituents as I wish. And why? Because the Prime Minister's gonna muzzle me. I believe the term was shackles. Now, the Liberals don't like shackles. They hate mandatory minimums. They've allowed people to serve sentences of house arrest for violence, gun crimes like extortion with a firearm, drive-by shootings. You can serve those all now on house arrest because of this Liberal government. So we know they don't like shackles. But the Liberal caucus is shackled in so many ways, Mr. Speaker. The shackles, it's just encumbrances everywhere on the government benches. You just can't list how many encumbrances there are over there, Mr. Speaker. And who gets to speak? Just last week, I spoke about the member for Winnipeg North. He's asked just about every single question in this debate. In fact, I think I've seen one, maybe two people. There have probably been 1,000 questions asked in this debate. For the Liberal side, I've seen that member ask 95, probably 99% of them. This is the government. They have, what, 158 MPs? And yet, one member. It used to be two members. It used to be the member for Winnipeg North and Kingston and the Islands. I guess the member for Kingston and the Islands has lost his mojo after that whole defamation thing. But now it's the member for Winnipeg North only being allowed to speak. And we're the ones who are being muzzled, Mr. Speaker. You can't write this stuff. Seriously. This Liberal caucus is just so muzzled, and I'm looking over, and there's so much despondency. You see them when they're in question period, and they have to give their rousing applause. It's like, it's the applause, you could just see the thought bubble above their heads. Please put me in cabinet. Please put me in cabinet. Please put me in cabinet. That's what's going through their heads, Mr. Speaker. and only a select few. And then we're going to go back to seeing what we saw 2 weeks ago, which was this. The crossing of arms. The 24 who will remain nameless, but they're united. Don't worry, Mr. Speaker. They are absolutely united, and they're absolutely muzzled while they're united, Mr. Speaker. And you know why they can't tell us they're not united? Because they're muzzled. They are shackled. And finally, somebody like the member from Hamilton East Stony Creek gets to tell us about the shackles. So here we are, talking about a privileged debate, being led by one person from the Liberals, Mr. Speaker. And we're talking about massive fraud. Massive fraud. And the Liberals, particularly the member from Winnipeg North, loves to tell us about the Conservatives did this, and as I said yesterday, it's like the ghost of Stephen Harper is hiding under somebody's bed. Right? They don't want to focus on the last 9 years of complete and utter failure. The member keeps on doing his wink, wink, nudge, nudge conspiracy theories, as in what's in the past about the security clearance. Never mind what happened with the reporter in the Kootenays. We'll leave that one alone because we don't want to talk about that. I wonder if that would come up in a security clearance, Mr. Speaker. In any event, really? Did you hear, Mr. Speaker, did you hear what the member from Winnipeg North just said? Maybe it was a bad date. Did he just say this?
Did he say that?
Okay, this is...
That was just insane.
Unbelievable.
Okay, I'm not usually speechless, Mr. Speaker. I am speechless. The member for Winnipeg North said, in reference to it, this isn't, we can say these things in jest. This is somebody who came forward and said they were groped by the Prime Minister, and the member for Winnipeg North just said maybe it was just a bad date.
Point of order for the Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
Speaker, I don't mind the member quoting me, but at the end of the day, I was referring to his leader, not the Prime Minister.
Okay, this is falling into debate again, but I just want to caution everybody when we're accusing each other of doing things. Sometimes this causes a little disorder in the House. The honourable member for Kamloops Thompson Caribou.
Let's just do a little. They do a year in review, Mr. Speaker. Let's do a little speech in review here. I say something. I call out the member for Winnipeg North for talking about his conspiracy theories of what's in the background. And then I say, why aren't we talking about things in the background of the Prime Minister, like the reporter in the Kootenays? And in response, the member from Winnipeg says, maybe it was just a bad date. And then he stands up and says, no, that's not what I meant. Canadians aren't stupid. You're not stupid, Mr. Speaker. And I think the Liberals here know, but again, there might be consequences if they speak out. In fact, that member should be standing up and apologizing. I will actually stand here for 5 seconds and let him stand up and apologize.
The Honourable, on a point of order, the Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
Mr. Speaker, if that's the way the member interpreted it, and I believe he's being honest, then I would apologize. But that's not what I was referring to. I was referring to his leader.
Okay. The Honourable Member Kamloops Thompson Caribou.
I thank the member for doing the right thing, Mr. Speaker. Now, Mr. Speaker, let's get back to the member for Hamilton East Stony Creek. I'm glad at least the Liberals are allowed to apologize when they do wrong, because we know they're not allowed to speak their minds. We just know that, Mr. Speaker. And here we have a $400 million fraud. When we're in question period, Mr. Speaker, you see the Liberals, they hang their heads in shame when people are saying this, especially in the backbenches, and the Prime Minister can show as much fight as he wants, and he'll stand there and do his thing where he points at the ground and says, we won't stand for that. Well, clearly they don't stand for much when it comes to their MPs speaking out, because we know now that if their MPs disagree on something, which frankly, I think reasonable people can disagree on this issue, on the GST holiday and the GST check. That's something on which I believe reasonable people can disagree. It's obvious that reasonable people could disagree on this. And yet, you have the member from Hamilton East Stony Creek disagreeing and being told there will be consequences. How many times have you seen Conservatives speak up? We're actually allowed to talk on this side of the House, Mr. Speaker. In fact, if you look, and this actually goes for the NDP and the Bloc as well, every single one of their members is free to stand up and to speak up. We compete on this side of the House for who's going to get to ask questions. You'll often see 2 or 3 Conservatives stand up when it's time to ask questions. And what do we see on that side of the House? We see the member for Winnipeg North consistently stand up and ask questions when he has capable people behind him. Just last week, I called them out and I said, you have 3 strong women behind you, Mr. Speaker. I told that member through the Speaker, 3 strong women, why don't they get to ask a question in this government? Are they muzzled as well? Why is that? I remember when Candace Bergen was still here, and she was our interim leader, and she actually said that to the member from Winnipeg North. What? There are 4 strong, capable women behind you. Why don't they get to ask a question? Perhaps it is because of the shackles. Perhaps it is because of the muzzling. And this is after 9 years of this government. It is so tired that they expect one person to carry all of the baggage, all of the weight, wink to all the conspiracy theorists. We as Conservatives will stand for it. Hand over the documents, release the names, let's bring it home.